Hello friends, welcome to Kalyani IAS Academy. Today we will study nature of Indian economy. Second, Indian economy before independence, or we can say that Indian economy as an underdeveloped economy. Third, Indian economy after independence, or we can say that Indian economy as a developing economy. At last, features of Indian economy will be studied by us. So let's start with the nature of Indian economy. Right? To write a decent answer on nature of Indian economy, we must mention 4 points in our answer. First, the economic model which is found in India. Second, what is the status of sectors of economy, and third thing is that the problems against Indian economy, and fourth, a futuristic approach. So with these 4 points we can write a decent answer, right? And in this way we will study. So let's start. See, in India, both public sector and private sector coexist and compete each other in the growth and development of India, right? Therefore, Indian economy is a mixed economy. But before 1991, Indian economy was socialist mixed economy. Why? Because of the second industrial policy of 1956, many fundamental industries and many industries were directly under the control of Government of India. Also, Government of India established many industries like iron and steel industries. Therefore, we can say that before 1991 the Indian economy was socialist oriented or socialist mixed economy. But after 1991, after the LPG reforms of 1991, Indian economy shifted from socialist mixed economy to liberal economy, or we can say that liberal economy, or we can say that capitalist oriented mixed economy. Right? Now we will discuss the sectors of economy. See, India is the agricultural country, and half of the population of India is directly or indirectly depend on the agriculture for their livelihood and for employment. And after the independence of India, the share of agriculture and allied sector in the GDP of India is decreasing, and in the same portion the share of industrial sector and service sector is improving or increasing day by day, which is indicating that Indian economy is in transitional stage. Indian economy is moving from developing economy towards a developed economy. And you need to mention here the must thing is that the tertiary sector or the service sector is the share of tertiary sector or service sector is more than that of the industrial sector and secondary sector, right? Now we will talk about the problems. See, poverty and unemployment is the biggest problems in India, and because of that many health issues, education and living standards and many things are being affected by the poverty and unemployment. Therefore, government must eradicate poverty and unemployment in India, so through the social and welfare schemes, right? At last, we will summarize that India is a developing country. India is a developing country. Therefore, there is always a potential for growth in the increase of savings and capital formation, also improvement and development of fundamental industries, right? Also development of banking and financial institution. So this was the nature of Indian economy, right? Now we will move ahead. Here I would like to tell you that in this lecture we will talk about the stages of development of Indian economy. So the question can be asked in directly or indirectly through the development process. Therefore, you need to get ready to answer in the mains examination. If the question is asked, then you should have a gravy, right? And these points will help you to write in answer. If the question is answered, then these will be the dimensions through which you can write a decent answer, right? For an example, factors of development. So you should write the condition of agriculture, then industry, then service sector, foreign trade, taxation, transport, health and education. And if we will mention these points, then definitely the answer will be very good. And now I would like to tell you that here we will study the stages of development. Actually, here I have summarized 3 or 4 things, right? In the examination, stages of development also asked, right? In the examination asked that how Indian economy evolved after independence, right? Second thing is that what were the structural changes, right? What were the structural changes occurred after independence of India, right? And they can ask how Indian economy developed after the independence of India, or they can ask the question what was the status of Indian economy before independence. Yeah, write the Indian economy as an underdeveloped economy, or the question can be asked what are the features of developing country, or the question can be asked write the Indian economy as a developing economy. So these types of question can be asked in the examination. Therefore, in this lecture what I have done is the stages of development. The stages of development I have categorized in 2 forms, right? For an example, that first हो जाएगा before 1947, the status of Indian economy before 1947 and the status of economy after 1947. And you need to mention here clearly that before 1947 the status of Indian economy was underdeveloped, right? Because the development process was either in initial stage or has not started in different sectors of economy. So underdeveloped, right? And after the 1947 the status of Indian economy is developing, right? So you need to remember, if the question is asked write the Indian economy as underdeveloped economy, also write the status of Indian economy before 1947, the answer will be same. Or they can ask what was the status or the stages of development after the 1947, or the overall question can be asked what is the stages. Yeah, write down the stages of development in Indian economy throughout the independence, right? So these things I have mentioned in this chart. Now you will be able to understand very carefully. So this is the stages of development, how our Indian economy evolved and developed during the course of time, right? Here we can say that here I would like to tell you that the first stage, second stage, these are not actually the fixed stage. You can add or subtract the stages according to your question, but according to transitional stage and many structural changes, I have categorized the stages of development in 6 stages, right? The first stage is before 1950, or we can say that before the independence. So here we will see how was the Indian economy before independence, right? And actually Indian economy was underdeveloped before 1950. After that we will see the economy as a developing economy, or we can say that Indian economy after independence, and Indian economy after independence was in the developing economy. So we will see the features of the Indian economy. And here you need to also understand that after 1950 to 1991, right, the Indian economy was as a socialist economy. Why? In the nature of Indian economy I have make you understand. But after the LPG reforms, the Indian economy is shifting from socialist mixed economy to liberal or capitalist oriented mixed economy, right? and in a particular stage we will see some features or we will see some structural changes. So it will be very easy for you to understand and you to understand in the mains examination to write the question. So at first we will study the Indian economy as underdeveloped economy or before independence, or after that we will study the stages one by one, right? So Indian economy before independence, right? Or we can say that Indian economy before independence or in the stages of development, Indian economy as a first stage in the development stage, the first stage of development, or we can say that the Indian economy before independence. Actually Indian economy before 1950 was a underdeveloped economy. And why was underdeveloped? You need to understand here. See, the industrialization took place in Europe, and because of that many industries and many units were formed in Britain. And you know that to a specific industry or a company there are two things required. First is raw material and second thing is that market. Why? Because using raw material, the raw material will be converted into finished good and the finished goods will be sold out in a market. And you can understand easily from here. Actually whatever the development process before the 1950 was in the favor of Britain, because the British wanted to take raw material from India. Therefore they constructed bridges, they constructed railway lines, and they constructed roads so that they could collect the raw material from the villages of India and take to the port, and over there they took the raw material to the Britain. Over there they processed the raw material and converted into finished good. After that the finished good was exported to India, and in the same way through railway line, through port, through telecommunication, they sold out the finished product in Indian market. Therefore the construction of road, railway, actually that was in the favor of Britishers. And actually here the interest of Britishers was self. Therefore the development process was very meager, right? And therefore Indian economy remained in underdevelopment process. So this was the crux of this question, and now through the facts we can write a decent answer. So we can write the introduction in this way, that the economic policies of colonial rulers or colonial masters were not in the favor of Indian economy, or for not in the favor of Indian economy or the people of India. Actually the policies of colonial masters were to protect and promote the economic interest of England. Therefore the economy of India remained in the underdeveloped stages, right? And we can write some beautiful points here, right? The first point is the Indian economy had a negative growth rate before 1950. Therefore the India which was known as golden works turned into a poor nation, right? You know very well India was Sone ki chidiya. So we can say that India was very prosperous in ancient times, but because of the economic policies of the Britishers, India turned into a poor nation, right? Second thing is that although a large portion of Indians were directly dependent on agriculture and they performed the agriculture activity, but despite this there was a negative growth in the agriculture sector, or we can say that the agriculture sector remained stagnant, or the production also declined. So the production in the agriculture sector declined and the progress was stagnant in the agriculture sector. Third thing is that we can say that the Indian handloom industries were world famous, and before the advent of Europeans, the handloom industries were world known and exported from India to other industries. But because of the economic policies of the Britishers, the handicraft or handloom industries of Indian economy continued to decline and ruined after some time. And in the place of handicraft industries, modern industrial base could not form in India. Therefore, the industrial growth rate was very meager, right? But after the second half of 19th centuries, many industries like jute industries, steel industries, and sugar industries, cement industries also established after the second half of the 19th century. In the same way, we can say that the banking, transport, and communication services developed for the Britishers' interest, right? In the same way, rail, port, post, road, and electricity were developed for private interest, or we can say that for the British interest, right? In the terms of import and export, India got the trade. India became the exporter of raw material, right? Because you need to remember here, if we export the finished good, then using raw material, when we make finished goods, then we increase the productivity. And in this situation, when we add the value and the production is increased, then the employment is generated, and we can say that the cost is also improved. Therefore, when we export the finished good, we get maximum profit, and when we export the raw material, we get minimum profit. Therefore, before the independence of India, India became the exporter of raw material only, right? And India became the exact importer of finished goods. Whatever products and goods and services manufactured in India, they were exported to India. So India became exporter of raw material and importer of finished goods and products, right? And in the social sector, the literacy rate was very low and only 16% in 1947. In the same way, there was lack of health facilities, and the life expectancy rate was very low at 32 years only, and infant mortality rate was 210 per thousand, right? Because of the lack of health services. Also, the per capita income was very minimum, and that was only 20 rupees. So this was the situation in Indian economy before 1950, or we can say that before the independence of India, or we can say that Indian economy as a underdeveloped economy, right? Now we will move ahead toward the Indian economy after the independence, and as I told you that we will study stage by stage. So here Indian economy after independence, or we can say that in the stages of development, the second stage, and which was the second stage of development from 1950 to 1980, right? And here are the specific features of this time period, right? This was the period of low growth rate in the Indian economy, and the growth rate was only 3.5%, and which was called by Professor Raj Krishna as a Hindu growth rate. So we can say that from 1950 to 1980, the growth rate of national income was very low, and that was 3.5, which was known as Hindu growth rate, right? And second thing is that in 1950 to 80, I would like to tell you the three things here, right? After the industrial policy of 1956, many, or we can say that many and fundamental industries were direct under the control of government. Therefore, the economic model came to existence as a protectionist economy. So the protectionist economy form was between 1950 to 1980. First thing. Second thing is that the Indian government established many industries like iron iron and steel industries like Balco, Bharat Aluminium Company, Hindalco, Hindustan Aluminium Company, Vilai steel plants. So these plants were established by Indian government with the help of foreign country, right? So we can say that the Indian government was controlling the Indian economy. Therefore we can say that from 1950 to 1980 the Indian economy was socialist oriented mixed economy, right? And third thing is that the nationalization of banks took place in 1969 so that the Indian people could take part, could take the advantage of financial system of India. And for we can say that the financial inclusion, the private banks were nationalized in 1969. So these were the very basic features of second stage or 1950 to 1980. Now we will move ahead the third stage of development. So the third stage of development was between 1980 to 1991, right? So the third stage of development was between 1980 to 1991, and because of the information technology, the development of information technology sector took place in this year during the Rajiv Gandhi government. And I am emphasizing the information technology because at present in our GDP the information technology is playing most important role in our GDP. Therefore it is we must mention this sector. So the information technology sector was emerged during the 1982 to 1991. Also in this time many institutions, financial or telecommunication institutions were established in this time. The growth rate was 5.1%, right? Before 1980 it was 3.4%, and after 1980 it was 5.1%. Also in the market, to get a input credit or to remove cascading effect, right? Cascading effect. So to get the benefit of input credit or to remove the cascading effect, the modified value added tax was enacted in 1986. So the modified VAT came into existence in 1986. And now what is the input credit and what is the cascading effect? We will study the taxation. Now in our syllabus there is a taxation policy, so we will study about the taxation or GST. At that time you will be able to know the input credit and cascading in very depth. So now you need to remember here that mod VAT was actually came into force in 1986, and in this time there was a need for the economic reforms was felt, right? So now we will move from the third stage to fourth stage, right? Yes. So Indian economy and the stage of development, we will study the fourth stage, which was from 1991 to 2003, and this was the most important time for our Indian economy because of the LPG reforms. As you know that after 1991 the LPG reforms took place in 1991. And what was the meaning of LPG reforms? So you know very well, L for liberalization, P for privatization, right, and G for globalization, right? So liberalization, privatization and globalization reforms were included. Liberalization means what was, so as I told you that after the industrial policy of 1956 many industries were under the control of Indian government, and license, quota and permit system was very dominant before 1991. Means without getting license, quota or permission, a new industry could not be formed or established. So the license, quota and permit system were removed, therefore the liberalized policy was enacted, right? And privatization many government sector PSUs were decentralized, and in globalization, Foreign Exchange Regulation Act, Foreign Exchange Regulation Act and Foreign Exchange Management Act and many other initiatives took place so that we could easily import and export the goods. So through liberalization, privatization and globalization, the economy of India moved from socialist to capitalist oriented economy. So the fourth stage of development, the most important thing was the economic reforms in 1991 and LPG reforms were implemented, right? And now you can understand the license, permit and KOSA system was abolished. I told you already. You need to understand here, right? FERA 1973, Foreign Exchange Regulation Act, right? To regulate foreign exchange, right? You need to know here that, see, to control import and export, to control the foreign trade and the exchange rate, the FERA Act, which was enacted in 1973, was improved and developed, and in 1990 on the FEMA Act, right? Foreign exchange, here Foreign Exchange Regulation Act, right? And here Foreign Exchange Management, right? So just FERA Act abolished and FEMA Act implemented in 1919 to control foreign exchange, foreign trade and import and export. In the same way, MRTP Act, which was enacted in 1969, abolished. What was the MRTP? You need to know here, right? M stands for here monopoly and restricted trade policies. Means MRTP Act was enacted in 1969 because of the concentration of wealth. सेकेंड हो जाएगा मोनोपोली एंड थर्ड illegal trade practice. So to stop, or we can say that to control concentration of wealth, to control the monopoly and illegal trade practices, the MRTP Act, which was enacted in 1969, improved and made very difficult, and in this act was abolished, and in the place of MRTP, the Competition Act was enacted in 2000, so that these things could easily develop, right? Fourth, investment and disinvestment increased, right? Fifth, corporation tax fixed to 30% for domestic companies and 40% for foreign countries, so that the foreign countries could contribute in the GDP of India, and the economic growth rate was 6% in this stage. So this was the most important stage as far as the strategic changes in Indian economy concerned, right? And now we will study the fifth stage, right? To the fifth stage of development was from 2003 to 2004, and what was the main reason behind this? In this time, the emphasis was molding to the economic in the past LPG reforms. The emphasis was given to the LPG reforms here, right? Second thing is that triple P model was implemented. What is the triple P? It is public, private, investment model. See, government can't invest, but for that government should have money or capital. When government does not have money or capital, in this situation, what can be done? Here, the government can take the money from the private sector, or we can say that public means government and private entity can can invest in a particular area. For an example, infrastructure, construction of road, construction of dams, and construction of bridges. So public, government and private sector can construct a road, and the private sector, later the investment of private sector can be paid by the government. So this was the public private investment model which was implemented after 2003, right? The economic growth rate, this was the period when India had the maximum growth rate in the course of time, right? From 2003 to 2014, Indian economy grew at the rate of 8.4%, right? And fifth thing is that the Indian economy was slightly affected by the crisis of 2008. So this was the fifth stage. Now we will study the sixth stage, or we can say that the sixth stage is till 2014, right? And what was the basic difference between fifth and sixth stage? So you know very well, in 2014 Modi government took the command of Indian economy, right? And the first and foremost, to make a market very liberal, right, means in the process of market reforms the GST came into force. And second, that in investment model BOT came to existence. What is the difference between triple P? In triple P, government and private sector invest in a particular area, and here BOT investment means government does not participate in the investment process. In this process, the private sector invest and construct. At first built, so private sector built a particular road or hospital or dam, then the same road or bridge will be operated for 10 to 15 years, so that it could take the revenue whatever it has invested. For an example, see that Indore to Bhopal. For an example, that the government of Madhya Pradesh does not have money or capital to construct a road between Indore to Bhopal. In this situation, government can releases a tender that whoever will build the road between Indore to Bhopal, he can take a toll tax, right? And he can earn such a good amount of money. So I can say that, for suppose that company A formed a road between Indore to Bhopal. So company A will build the road between Indore to Bhopal, and for 10 to 15 years it will operate, right? It will collect the tax, right? And after that it will transfer this road to Indian governments. So this model existed or implemented after 2014. Second, export promotion policy implemented so that the export could be improved, right? Next, improvement in international relation. As you know that after 2014 Modi ji went to foreign, Modi, our Prime Minister Modi ji went to every country, and he went to improve the international relations so that our economy could also be improved. Next, in this situation, now these are the very current and important issues, right? Nowadays, increase in privatization, right? Railways and airport. And now this time after the corona, means after the because of the corona, the government does not have money, therefore the government is talking about the strategic, right? Strategic disinvestment or strategic privatization. In this process, government will search and make a list of particular industries, and all these industries will be disinvestmented or privatized, right? And you are talking, you know very well that the Air India will be sold out in future, and in the same way the railway stations are being given to private sectors, right? So the privatization is increasing during the course of times. And as you know very well that in 2020, government of India, to double the income of farmers, in 2020 government of India enacted 3 agricultural bill, and we will discuss these bills about in our future lectures, right? After that, you know, because of the lockdowns because of corona, Prime Minister Modi started self-reliant India campaign या आत्मनिर्भर भारत अभियान, right? And there are many problems because of corona in our economy. So this is the sixth stage of development in Indian economy. Now we can conclude that after independence the Indian economy progressed very well, right? Many industries were established, the industries were diversified and employment oriented, right? In the changing scenario, I have told you that before 1991 Indian economy was socialism, or we can say that socialist oriented economy, but after 1991 the Indian economy is capitalist oriented mixed economy, right? So in this way you can conclude, or we can conclude the development process. So you have understood what was the status before the 1991, or we can say that, or what was the status after 1991. In the same way we can say that what was the status or underdeveloped before 1950 or before independence, or developing nature after 1950. Now we will study Indian economy as a developing economy. I have already told you that before 1950, or we can say that before independence, Indian economy was underdeveloped. So Indian economy was underdeveloped before 1950, but after the independence Indian government made many industrial policies, Indian government made many structural changes. Therefore Indian economy is now in developing economy, in the developing status, right? So we can introduce this question as, see, after independence along with economic and social reforms, many such favorable changes have taken place or are taking place, and because of that our national income and per capita income is also increasing day by day. After independence, due to structural changes in education, health, technical knowledge and basic infrastructure, our economy has shifted from underdeveloped stage to developing stage, right? So we have come in the developing stage, and which can be further understood by the following points, right? So let's discuss the first point, which is faster and continuous growth in national income, right? So faster and continuous growth in national income. As you know that before 1950 Indian economy was underdeveloped, but after 1950 Indian economy growth, the growth rate of the Indian economy in India between 1950 and 1980 was 3.5%, and you know that Dr. Raj Krishna told this rate as a Hindu growth rate. Actually it is professor, right? So Professor Raj Krishna okay, so the first point of Indian economy as a developing economy is faster and continuous growth in national income, right? Here, as you know that the growth rate of economy in India between 1950 to 1980 was only 3.5%, and this growth rate was called Hindu growth rate by Professor Raj Krishna, right? So before, so 1950 to 1980 the growth rate was only 3.5%, and you know very well that between 1980 to 1991 the growth rate was actually 5%, and which increased after 1991 to 2011 as a 0.8%. So you can see that the graph of growth rate of national income is increasing. 1950 to 98, 3.5 percentage, 1980 to 1991, 5 percentage, and we can say that 1991 to 2011 the growth rate is 6.8 percentage, means the national income is faster and continuously improving. So therefore we can say that our country or our economy is in developing stage, right? Now we will see the second point. The second point is that faster and continuous growth in per capita income. As you know that the per capita income is the most permanent, most important parameter of economic development. Actually, economic development refers to the high level of per capita income, or we can say that good status of health and education and high level of living standard. And here the per capita income is the most important parameter of development. So between 1950 to 1991, India's per capita income was very low, and which was, we can say that 1.6 percentage. So between 1950 to 1991, the growth rate of per capita income was 1.6, but after 1991, the growth rate in per capita income of India was 5 percentage, which is showing the upward graph. Therefore we can say that our per capita income is fasting and continuously growing, right? And this is the sign of developing economy, right? Okay, we will discuss the third point, which is structural changes in economy. I would like to tell you here the basic feature, right? When our economy shifts from underdeveloped to developing toward developed economy, right? So when economy shifts from underdeveloped to developing to developed economy, here you need to know that the contribution of sector of economy also important. Here the primary sector, or we can say that where the agricultural or primary sector has a maximum share, that definitely it would be a underdeveloped economy, because agriculture and allied sector is directly depend on natural resources. There is no value addition here. But when the industrial sector and services sector, the share of industrial and services sector improves, the economy shifts from underdeveloped to developing category. And when the share of service sector becomes more than industrial and agriculture, then the economy would be developed economy. In the same portion we can say that when a economy shifts from underdeveloped to developing and the developed economy, the share of industrial and service sector improves day by day. And we can understand by these facts that in India in 1950 to 51, the contribution of agriculture, or we can say that the primary sector, was maximum in the national income. So at the time of independence, the contribution or the share of agriculture sector was maximum, right? But at present, the share of service sector but at this time, right? So in 1950, we can say that the time of the maximum portion agriculture sector or primary sector, right? So in 1950, primary sector had the major portion in GDP, but at present you know that the service sector, right? The service sector had major portion, or we can say that the share of service sector is maximum at the present time, right? Which is about 55%. So at present 55% share is of service sector, and which is the maximum in our economy. And the share of agriculture sector is only 17%, which is minimum. So we can say that at present the maximum share in the GDP is of service sector, and the minimum share in the GDP is of agriculture sector. In the same way, we can say that, see that the share of agriculture sector is decreasing day by day, and the share of service sector is also increasing day by day. And we need to mention here one particular point also, that India is the only country in the world which is in which the share of service sector is greater than the industrial sector. Means we can say that जनरली क्या होता है कि शुरुआत में प्राइमरी सेक्टर जो अंडर डेवलप्ड होती हैं उनमें प्राइमरी सेक्टर, उसके बाद में जो डेवलपिंग कंट्री होती हैं उसमें इंडस्ट्रियल जो सेक्टर होता है उसका शेयर ज़्यादा होता है, और फिर जो डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज होती हैं उनमें सर्विस सेक्टर का क्या होता है, शेयर ज़्यादा होता है। लेकिन इंडिया एक ऐसा देश है जो सीधा प्राइमरी एक्टिविटीज से सर्विस एक्टिविटीज की ओर अग्रसर है। तो एट प्रेजेंट हमारे देश की जो जीडीपी है उसमें सर्विस सेक्टर का कंट्रीब्यूशन सबसे ज़्यादा है, राइट। दिस इज अ रेयर फिनोमिना इन द वर्ल्ड, राइट। Now the fourth change we can say that the occupational changes in an economy, right. So we can say that in 1951 72% of Indian workforce, or we can say that the 72% population or workforce were engaged in the agriculture and allied activities, right. But after independence the portion of population of India decreasing, or means decreasing in the agriculture and allied activity and improving in service and industrial sector. If we talk about the present situation, then we can say that now this time less than 50% is population or 50% workforce is engaged in agriculture sector, and the maximum portion, or we can say that more than half of the population of India is engaged in secondary or tertiary sector, which is also telling that Indian economy is a developing economy, right. Now we will say the fifth point, improved in the infrastructure, right. So after the independence, or we can say that at the time of independence India had only 4 lakh kilometer roads, right. And after the independence many roads and bridges were constructed, and the total length of roads increased from 4 lakh to 50 lakh kilometer, right. And also in the field of energy, right, we have increased 100 times, right. In 65 years we have improved our capacity 100 times in the field of energy, right. In the same way railways, waterways and warehouses, banking, insurance sector are also expanding, and the infrastructure is improving day by day. And as you know very well, now this time at present government has announced national infrastructure pipeline project, right. And through the national infrastructure pipeline project government will invest more than 100 lakh करोड़, मीन्स 100 लाख करोड़ से अधिक रुपया जो है वो गवर्नमेंट के द्वारा नेशनल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पाइपलाइन के माध्यम से निवेश किया जाएगा. एंड इन दिस पॉलिसी द गवर्नमेंट विल फोकस ऑन रोड्स, रेलवेज, housing, etc. and etc. means through this policy the government will improve the infrastructure of India, right? And in the social sector we can say that we have improved the literacy rate, which is 74% as present. In the first topic I have told you that before independence the literacy rate was only 16%, but after independence now at this time according to 2011 census the literacy rate is 74%, and the literacy rate is also growing day by day. Also the life expectancy rate is 68 years. Remember before 1950 the life expectancy was only 32 years. which have been improved to 68 years. And when we will remove poverty, the healthcare infrastructure will be improved, then definitely the life expectancy rate will be improved also. As far as the population growth rate is concerned, it is also decreasing. Why? We can say that in 1960 to 71, the population growth rate was 24.8, but at present it is only 17.6 percentage between 2001 to 11, which means that the population growth rate is decreasing, right? So at last we can conclude that although the Indian economy has many features of underdeveloped economy, but it's progressing, the growth rate is improving day by day and progressing rapidly on the path of development. Therefore one day the Indian economy will be shifted from the developing economy toward the developed economy. So this was the conclusion. Okay, so now we will study the last topic of our lecture. So now we will study the features of Indian economy. So I have already told you many things about Indian economy, and the features of Indian economy we will discuss based on these points, right? Mixed economy, inequality in income distribution, low per capita income, comprehensive poverty, lower level of industrialization, unbalanced economic development, lack of capital to invest, and comprehensive unemployment. So these are the basic features of Indian economy. Let's discuss one by one. So the first thing is that Indian economy is a mixed economy. I have already told you that both the public sector and private sector coexist and compete each other in the growth and development in the economy. Therefore Indian economy is a mixed economy. Here only 3 or 4 sectors like railways, atomic and energy, right, and minerals. So railways, atomic energy and minerals are dominated by the Indian government or government sector, and the rest of sectors are for the private sectors. So Indian economy is the good example of the mixed economy, right? Second, inequality in income distribution, right? You will find in India, one hand there are many billionaires or millionaires in India. On the second hand, there is a huge poverty in India, and because of the inequality in income distribution in India, affluent people lead a luxurious life and they are becoming richer day by day, and where many people of India live below the poverty line. And because of the corona pandemic, it is estimated that lakhs of people will lead to a poverty, right? So which shows that there is a huge inequality in income and distribution in India, right? Third thing is that low per capita income. The Indian per capita income, according to the current prices of 2018 at current prices, the Indian per capita income is 1,26,406 only, right, and which is very low in comparison to most developed countries. So we can say that there is a low per capita income in India. Next, development dependence on agriculture. I have already told you that half of the population of India is directly or indirectly dependent on agriculture, and agriculture, the share of agriculture and allied activities is only 17.4% in the GDP of India. Also many activities or many factories like cotton industry, sugar industry, jute industries are directly dependent on agriculture for their development. Therefore the dependency on agriculture is maximum in India, and agriculture depends on monsoon. So everything depends on monsoon, or we can say that this is the risky situation in India. Now comprehensive poverty. As you know that unemployment and poverty are the biggest enemies of Indian economy, and there is a huge poverty in India. According to Rangarajan Committee in India in 2011-12, 29.5% of Indian population was was in the line of extremely poverty, right? Which means that in 2011-12, 3 out of 10 people were very poor and they lived below the poverty line, right? Next, low level of industrialization, right? I've told you that India is a country where the share of tertiary sector, or we can say that the service sector, is more than the industrial sector, because the industrial sector could not develop as comparison to many developed countries in India. The industrialization process is very low, and in India the industrialization is in the transitional stage because of the lack of capital, lack of technology, and because of many other reasons. The low level of industrialization is found in India. Okay, so next, unbalanced economic development, right? When if we talk about the whole of India, then it is found that some regions of India are very developed and some parts of India, especially the villages, are underdeveloped and the cities are developing day by day. So, and also region to region, the process of development is very different from region to region. So it is simple that unbalanced economic development is found in India because some region is developed and other parts of the state or country are underdeveloped, or there is little development there, right? So we have studied about the features of Indian economy. In the next lecture we will meet with the new topic. Till then, thank you.